Hello, everybody. Sorry for that delay there. We were bringing it back to the early days of our first guest, Mr. ZB Steele. He is not on the show tonight, but we wanted to give a little homage to him. So we're 3 minutes late with technical issues. Tonight is a very special episode. It is the last one before my mini hiatus. I think people have seen the contest that's going around. We are welcoming a daughter next week, if not earlier, but fingers crossed it's not for the next hour and a half, because this is going to be a fun one. So before the hiatus, I wanted to get this going and have one last kind of big send-off. So I'm very happy with both of my guests tonight. I have a special guest host who I'm going to bring on in just a second. And the big guest that I have tonight is a good friend of mine who gave me this platform a couple of months ago, maybe 8 months ago, I think, actually, right around the time we found out that Laura was pregnant again, was the first Realm Runner show. So I think it is fully appropriate to end it with him tonight for the mini hiatus, but we'll get to that. The first guest, welcome aboard, Mr. Devin, aka BroMantasy.
Hi, Pete.
He definitely wasn't the cause of the technical issues.
No, not the guy that works in tech every day, not being able to get his stuff together.
No, that would be ludicrous, and you're better than that. I know it, you know it. Right. Everyone should just be aware of it. But
I'm truly the best.
I'm very happy that you wanted to jump on tonight. I think we have some big things cooking in the future, and I am stoked about all of that. So this is a good, not a practice run, but it's nice to have you on here.
Well, I appreciate it, even though you're the award-winning host. So I got, a lot to keep up with tonight.
That's going to stay up there until I win next year, and then I'll just put a 2X after it. But I'm sure that everyone with watching right now and knowing where I won the award is definitely not picking up on the vibes from your sweatshirt. That the award is totally different. It had nothing to do with him.
To be fair, I have the receipts to say I did not mess with it at all.
That's true. That's true. We're good people. We don't like to tinker with voting publicly.
No, only cameras that don't work ever when I need them to.
Exactly. But we are welcoming like I said, big time guest tonight. I'm very happy to have him back. He was on the first time with Alex to promote their anthology, which also was amazing. But we are getting to him tonight. His new book, Death Show Colossus, coming out in May, I believe. But the Kickstarter is popping off next week, so I wanted to get him in there before the hiatus. Welcome aboard, Bill Adams.
Hi.
Hi, Bill.
That was good. I enjoyed that gloating about me there in the background. I don't talk about myself much, so having you talk about me is kind of enjoyable.
I could have kept that going if you want to go backstage.
I'll go backstage. Just
shove him back.
No, it's awesome, man. I was looking at it today because I was looking at the YouTube. So again, I said it on Twitter earlier, but we hit 250 subscribers on the YouTube channel today, and in no way, shape, or form is that not mostly down to this man Pete up here. So no, I was looking at it, and your first one, the Realm Runners one, was in May of last year. So
it's been a while. It's been a run.
Yeah.
Crazy. Listen, I can't believe that you're taking time off and not even a year into this. That's ridiculous.
Right.
It's a baby. They don't do anything for like the first couple of weeks.
All right, if you're watching, I swear to God, I don't think that.
For the record, I have two and totally understand. It's honestly less time. Yeah.
So this should really be my crowd of people that understand where a second baby comes in, and it's like, what? Let's put a pin in this.
Yeah.
I blame Bill because I'm going to put Bill in charge of like how time off works here, and I'm just going to say that my work allowed me to take 2 weeks, and then I was home anyway because I'm remote, and then I took the rest of my time when my wife went back to work. So it was glorious, and I think Pete should be allowed to do that.
I'll bring it up at the board meeting.
We'll have a meeting. We're going to have a meeting.
This is the meeting now. No.
He's out of line, but he's right. Yeah, there's a lot of co-hosts in here. Baby Girl Barnable. I don't know if I've shared the name, so I'm not going to. But I wanted to throw that out there. I don't know if I have. Although she'll be here, like I said, as long as it's not before 10:30, we should be good. Or however long we run. This is a fucking rager we got going on right now.
I mean, you could just technically like swap to your phone and take it to the hospital and really, just show your commitment to the people.
That's true. Maybe toss in like some B-reel going into the emergency room.
Just the shot from Knocked Up.
Yeah, exactly.
Get some rest, Laura. Get some rest.
Yeah, we were just upstairs cleaning everything. We're good. We're ready to go. So, she's been amazing throughout it, as usual. So we're very excited. But
it's gonna be fun.
It's gonna be fun.
It's gonna be fun.
Blink twice for help.
How old is your first?
Just turned 2.5. So
oh yeah. So you're literally we're 1-to-1 with how that went for the most part. Yeah. Good luck.
I keep hearing the good lucks. Me and Bill said saying good luck right before you joined too, and I don't like the look in either of your eyes.
That's just a look of you thought you didn't sleep before. Yeah, it's just another level.
You're gonna be using a lot of these, Pete.
Yeah, I got my Celsius on deck, but we're gonna have to pivot.
I'm gonna sip my clear liquid. It's water. It's actually water.
Definitely not moving.
For now.
Yeah. Depends on how far this goes. It might turn into Rum Runners. It's fine though.
I know. I think we were talking. I think Rum Runners is going to be the late night summer version where we get
after hours
at like midnight.
We'll
see. Subscribe to our Patreon for $20 a month, and you can join Rum Runners. We just have to make a Patreon. But okay,
Dave, you're going to be storing up that sleep because you're not going to be having it either.
Yeah, exactly. Dave's bragging. He's just as screwed.
He has no more hair to pull out, so it's.
That's why I'm keeping a little fuzz. So when things get rough, I could still yank a little bit. But
I want you to know I haven't lost the hair. Kudos to my super Italian mother for that. But I did not have gray hair prior to children.
My hair is so it's going gray by every single day. It gets gray and gray and grayer.
As this gets longer, it's just more obvious that I have children.
Yep. And so do the bags under your eyes.
I think that's the real reason that camera wasn't working for a little bit there.
Yeah, I was just trying to catch like a 5-minute nap. Pete ruined it.
But like I said, this before said hiatus, I wanted to get you in here, Bill, because I'm going to share the cover now because this is going to be the first thing we talk about because look at this. Just look at this. Tell me that is not one of the sickest covers, and it's glossy on his screen. So this is by far one of the coolest covers I've seen in recent memory. It has 80s movie poster vibes in my mind, which is flawless. And who did the cover again? How'd that process get brought about?
So I have been working on my adult series stuff, Felix Ortiz, who, in my opinion, is the absolute GOAT of book covers. His stuff is just amazing. And so he did my God's Blood Tragedy and Lady Drakeslayer covers, and I thought both of them, he knocked them out of the park. And Lady Drakeslayer, I think, is the better of the two. And I was like, I don't know how he's going to top Lady Drakeslayer. And when the way, if you don't know how indie books work, with getting the good cover artists, their schedules lock up well in advance. So when I had talked to Felix about God's Blood Tragedy, I was ready to release the book in spring of 2023. I was thinking, I was a newbie. I had no idea what the hell was going on in the indie community. I'm like, I'm just going to find this awesome artist and get the cover done in 2 months. No, he's like, no, I'm not going to be able to do it until this time next year. I'm like, oh, okay. And then I thought about it for a while. I was like, do I do it? Do I not? You know, but then I thought about it. I was like, I spent 17 years writing this damn book. So like want the best cover I could possibly have. So I went with him. And then I was like, okay, well, I'm doing a series. So if this is going to take this long to get a cover from him, I need to put the books on schedule, right? So I'm like, I need to get on your schedule. So I got Lady Drakeslayer on, you know, for a couple months down the road with him. And then I'm like, you know, I need to get books 3 and books 4 on the schedule with you. And it was not going to be book 3 was going to be about last summer. So like summer 25. And after I released Lady Drakeslayer, I knew I needed a break from that series because it's a chunky series. It's, you know, each book is like 160,000 words plus, you know, 600 plus pages. I needed something different. I was feeling burnt out. But I had this idea of Death Show Colossus. I've had this one in the docket, which we'll get into in a little bit, obviously, for many, many years. So I'm like, I want to write this fun book. Like this book, I was always going to be a fun one. But I knew that I wanted a cover still with Felix. I'm like, you know what? I'm on his schedule. I might as well just have him do this cover for Colossus, and then I can add another one in a couple of years because I'm not going to be done with the series. So I told him it was because I had, like I said, I had those covers lined up and I gave him the prompts and everything. I'm like, dude, we're doing a different cover. It's still, I still want to use you, but I want to use this. You know, I'm like, I told it I want a movie poster because this book is a game show. Like it's about a deadly game show. And I'm like, I want it to look like a movie poster. And I told him, or he's like, well, what's your inspiration? I was like, well, it's The Running Man meets Shadow of the Colossus. And he's like, okay, I know what that is. And I go, there's like just some images. I don't know if you guys played Shadow of the Colossus, you know, but there's just images that are out there from the game where it's, you know, the main character is, you know, in perspective in the front of the page. And then in the back, you just see the ginormous Colossus just wandering. I'm like, that scale is what I want. And then because it's a game show, I was like, you know, in the book, there's these things called drone hawks, which are camera, you know, people inside these cameras. So I was like, you need to have these flying down. And there's your cameras and all that stuff for the game show. And I didn't know if he was going to be able to pull it off. I mean, I knew he would because he's the GOAT. But I'm like, I'm giving him all this like weird stuff. And I'm like, how are you going to pull this off? And then he showed me the concept art, and I'm just like, hell yes. Like, let me see if I can find the concept art here. This is the perk about having the StreamYard in my.
That's a good point. Hands. Yeah, everyone's getting a peek behind the curtain to see the real wizard. As Bill goes in and make edits on his own.
Right. So that was the first concept that he gave me. And I'm just like, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, you nailed it. So yeah, I was just completely surprised and blown away. And, you know, I'm going to call him out. I don't know if he made the show or not, but Dewey Conway, who does my other cover art, but he's also done all the typography of this. I only got the front cover from Felix. So the spine and the back, Dewey took Felix's work and was able to like paint his own to match it up, which goes to show how great Dewey's artwork is.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that is really
I didn't know
cool.
that. And Dewey's art rules. If anyone hasn't, I'm assuming you probably have subscribed if you're following the stream right now. But if you're not, Dewey does amazing artwork, and he also does really cool reels and videos that he posts on here where it's middle grade stuff and does full on costumes, gets very deep into it. He is fantastic at multifaceted. You know,
so I won't be able to show it because it's only on my phone. But so, you know, as we'll talk about the Kickstarter, Dewey's doing end pages for me. He painted, let's see if I can pull it up on my phone. He did a version of the Colossus, and it is really bloody cool.
And the Kickstarter starts the
Monday.
February 9th. Yeah, it's also dope. If it's that dope on a phone, just imagine how sick this is gonna look when it gets
in the book.
delivered.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Kickstarter starts Monday, which is shocking to me. I woke up this morning, I'm like, shit, that thing starts next week. Because I've been like, to get into the history of the Kickstarter, that was not my original plan. I never planned to do a Kickstarter, but then good old ZB Steel kind of bullied me into it. Because I showed the cover, and everyone was like in the WWP chat was like, dude, that's awesome. You're gonna sell books just by that cover alone. And I had already planned, because I really wanted to make this book look good, and I have it in my other books. I have artwork in the books anyway. I really wanted to go balls to the wall with artwork in it. And he's like, you're already planning that, so you might as well, do a Kickstarter. You're a project manager by trade, by your job. So you're like, you know how to do this. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's a great idea. I'm not enjoying this, the Kickstarter stuff, but the people that do it, they have fun. Good for them. I don't know if I ever want to do another one again. And I haven't even got to the distribution part of it. The actual taking people's money in and doing all this stuff. Like, I've just been doing the background stuff, and I don't like it. So.
Do you have other Kickstarters that you've supported in the past? I actually haven't. Devin, are you a Kickstarter guy as well?
I spend probably way too much money on Kickstarter, but no, I've never run my own.
Yeah, I've never gotten anything
to this point. Within the last year, I was never. I'm not. I obviously have a whole Florida ball, bookshelf here. So many books, but I'm not like the special edition type collector. Like, I'm not gonna spend all those extra money at Devin's like. I mean, I have some. I have a couple, but I don't like when it's, Jay Kristoff's my favorite trad author. I have a number of Jay Kristoff books up at the top you can't see, and then in different hardbacks and stuff. But I don't really actively go out and buy a ton of them. But now that it seems like Kickstarters with indies, I'm starting to get more interested in those. Mm-hmm. Because like the ones that I want to support that are, I really like those books. I'm like, okay, I'll pick up your special edition if you do it. Mm-hmm. So that's, I'm hoping not to spend too much money this year on special editions, but who knows?
I have no comment about that as I look in my background and see my 3 Jay Kristoff books, 2 that I had to buy secondhand for way more money than they originally cost.
I think the only special thing that I have is the Kristoff cover from the Empire of the Dawn tour, where it was like the one of him killing a horse. And like,
yes,
we had to order that one. Then it got shipped from Australia like 2 months after the tour was done. I
just got mine.
I'd still wish I could got that. That cover is awesome. And like, it was just the joke of it, the whole thing, because the horse actually survives. Spoiler part.
Spoilers. The horse finally made it.
There's a lot of horses that don't survive either, so another spoiler, I guess.
Well, as long as there's no specifications, just assume every horse dies.
Yeah, which horse it is.
Yeah, we don't know which horse lives.
But so for the Kickstarter, there's a lot of cool stuff that comes with it, and I saw one of the gifts that you got recently is going to be included in. You're going to use it, I should say, to add things to the Kickstarter. How hard was it to come up with the 3D printing to really hammer that down? Because I saw some of those and like I used to have to use those for my job, and I was terrible.
Okay, so when I was thinking of this stuff with the Kickstarter, like what would be cool, because everyone likes swag. The whole purpose of, in my mind, the purpose of a Kickstarter is not only to make the book look awesome, the book to be awesome, but a lot of people like the extra stuff, the fun stuff to it. And this game, it's a game show book, a deadly game show, but there's not a lot of like stuff you can really do outside of the extra artwork and stuff. I was trying to just like think of what can do, like, what could be cool. Like, there's no tchotchkes, so to speak, that you could possibly get from this book. And I was just looking around, and I can't even remember. I think it was just, I saw somebody on, Twitter post something. but minifigs, mini figurines. I'm not into Warhammer. I'm not into D&D, like playing and stuff. Like, I've never done that before. So I decided, hey, let's make a minifigurine, right? That's a great idea. This is also part of the reason why I'm not enjoying the Kickstarter. But I was looking, and it's like they're expensive to get. Like, if you wanted to go through Etsy or go through like Fiverr or even through Hero Forge and stuff, which is like you can design through Hero Forge and print them. They're costly. And I'm thinking, okay, let's do a limited number, and I can make this the highest tier as part of the highest tier. And then my wife was like, well, what do you want for your birthday? Because my birthday's in December. And I'm like, oh, I don't really need anything. But she heard me talking about the Kickstarter and doing these figurines. She's like, well, do you want a 3D printer? I was like, yes. Do I know how to do it? No, but I want a 3D printer. So yeah, she got me a 3D printer, and it was so you can design, like I said, through Hero Forge, which I did. And the good thing about this book is, like The Running Man, if you've ever seen the 1980s Arnold movie, there are hunters, and they're called stalkers in the Running Man book. But in my book, they're hunters, and they're just like over the top. They have this special magic power specific to like a magic type, and they're just over the top killers. They're some of them are goofy looking, with masks and stuff like that. Some are very scary. And I'm like, this is a good idea for a mini figurine. And it took me a long time to learn how to, use CAD and slicer and stuff to make it be able to print. And I've got a good number of, it was like, oh, the arms, like if you don't support the arms, it just doesn't happen. And they start unfolding, and, it doesn't work, and it's fun. And you waste a bunch of hours printing, and it doesn't work. And then comes the fun part, which is painting. And by fun, I mean, it's not my favorite hobby. I'm not a fan of the painting. I know some people can they sit and they'll just paint these Warhammer figures, and it's soothing for them. And me, no, I hated every minute of it. And I don't ever want to do it again. But I think it turned out pretty cool. So this character is called Bloodletty. As a play on the term bloodletting. You can't really see. It's kind of hard to see. But she is gnarly as hell, kind of like a zombie underneath these bloody rags. And she is probably the deadliest of the hunters. And also the first one you meet in chapter 1. She shows up, and that's what kind of kicks everything into high gear. So yeah, as part of the tier, I'm doing, or the highest tier, I'm printing, painting, and doing all that stuff myself. So it's, hopefully worth the money. But we'll see. A lot of time and effort.
Yeah, it is. But it's a very cool, like you said, little tchotchke that you get with it. But it's like very customized and very, focused on the book, which I think is very cool. That's a very neat thing to have up on the shelf there. So, especially as part of like that top tier of the Kickstarter, that's a very cool thing to get along with it. As opposed to like something little that'll just get like, kind of thrown away. This is like a little nice collectible thing, which is very cool.
That's what I thought. It's a 5.5 inch character. And of course, me not knowing anything about this pose is like impossible to not only print but to paint, because there's like not a gap in between this tree. I'm like, oh, let's put a tree there. It'll make it cool. It'll look awesome. No, like, you idiot. It was a lot harder than I thought it was going to be.
Bill, are you hand painting those, or are you using like, you're hand painting them? Because I've seen people with the little like
airbrush
spray gun. Yeah, airbrushes. There you go.
I'm not skilled with paint. Like, I used to be skilled in art, and paint was always my least favorite and least talent of mine with art, and it's still carrying over to this day. But yeah, airbrush, I learned how to use an airbrush a while back, and I never could figure it out. Can never figure out the pressure and like the distance and all that good stuff. So with this, I'm like, I don't have the time to learn. Like, it just hand paint it is. It's been fun.
As somebody who has 3D printed, far too much and spent far too much time just throwing away money in plastic. How long that had to be with the amount of supports that thing looks like it needs, not even to just print, but then to remove all the supports and sand it and all the other fun stuff that goes into 3D printing.
So, okay, I went through. I have them all on my windowsill here. I think I went through probably a dozen prints before it finally printed out, like perfectly with the supports. Because the system I'm using, I have a Orca Flash Forge. Flash Forge is the 3D printer I got, the company, and their slicer it has, like, it says it's for beginners. It took a little bit of YouTube and Googling to figure out what certain things mean on there, because I'm not a CAD person. I don't know how to use CAD to design things in 3D and all that stuff. So I had to learn, figure it out. So that probably took, before it started printing fully, it took 3 weeks of trial, and each print was like about 4 to 7 hours, depending on the amount of support. But once I got it going, then I would just go downstairs every 5-6 hours and just hit it again, and it would just print out. So I was able to print out all 25, because I'm only doing 25 for the top tier. I've painted half of them, and it took about 2 weeks to do all that extra, like the sanding and the painting and all that stuff over the course of about 2 weeks to do half of them. I'm going to start the next half this weekend, just to get them all done before the Kickstarter's over. But again, because this is my first time, a lot of this is trial and error, like what layers to do and where to, put the paint to put on first and all that good stuff. So now that I know what I'm kind of doing, I'm expecting it to go a lot quicker. I hope.
Yeah.
We'll see.
But, so my takeaway for anybody on the Kickstarter is that supporting the top tier means that you're getting Bill's blood, sweat, and tears and countless amounts of, small plastic pieces that he'll have forever that are just sitting in a corner somewhere, probably just wondering what happened.
Well, I already said if we don't sell them all, ZB has to pick up the tab, because he bullied me into the Kickstarter.
Yeah, exactly. It's the platinum member.
Exactly.
As far as the book itself goes, I want to ask, because I got to read it early, obviously, because I'm fucking awesome, and I loved it. And I feel like a very big reason that I loved it so much was because you've already mentioned a couple of times one of the bigger comps to the story is The Running Man. Did both of you guys read The Running Man? Are you Stephen King fans? I don't know if I even talked to either of you about neither of you. Wow,
I watched the Arnold movie.
True, yeah.
It took me many years to learn that it was Stephen King, because he wrote it under Robert Bachman, which he wrote a number of different books under. Didn't know, but my father got me into 80s action movies. I was born in 84. I was watching 80s action movies by the end of the 80s. Like, I was really young watching, all the Arnold movies, all the Stallones, all those good movies. So yeah, The Running Man was always one of my go-tos as a kid. And then Big Trouble in Little China was always the other one, with Kurt Russell, the John Carpenter movie. Those two movies I can watch all day, every day. And I knew I know I'm probably jumping ahead, Pete, to your question, but like when I when I started writing books, I always knew that I needed a character I wanted a book to write a book like The Running Man. And then I wanted to write a character like Jack Burton, which is Nina LaFleur in my God's Blood book. I knew I needed to do that because those are two of my favorite things. So yeah, Running Man. I was like, it's just a fun thing for me growing up.
It is awesome. Yeah, I forgot that was a Richard Bachman book. He wrote a couple other ones that are very hit or miss along the way. I know he had one called Rage that's out of print because like every school shooter in the history had a copy of it. And he was like, maybe we'll get rid of this. Like, please stop publishing it. Probably a good move. But yeah, the Running Man book-wise was great. My sister-in-law and I just started rereading it again. So when I pitched your book to her, I was like, picture this, but with Ripley as the main character. And she was like, fuck yeah. And it's like, that is a very, very cool, tried and true kind of combo there. But how did you go about having both of those as kind of big influences and also putting a unique spin on it? Because this feels very, it acknowledges those as inspirations, but also I was reading every page. And I think I messaged you 1 or 2 times actually, where I was like, Jesus Christ, like things were happening where it kind of like just threw me for a loop.
So, yeah, I alluded to it after I wrote Lady Drakeslayer. That book was 700 some odd pages. It's like close to 200,000 words. I knew I needed a break from the series. I had burnout from writing those really long books, and I knew I needed to pivot. For those of you who don't know, I created my own Sanderson Cosmere-esque universe in writing of Lady Drakeslayer. A little bit of history. In that 17 years through God's Blood, I started writing multiple different series. I actually wrote different books, and then I started combining stuff. Death Show Colossus was something that came about in around 2017. I had the idea for the game show, and wanting to have the show be around climbing this giant colossus. And one character is so one character is climbing, and then the other character is in what's called a drone hawk. You can't really see it. They transfer their conscious into this camera. It's like just a glorified camera, but it's the person's in there. Like they can control it, through the magic system. And so I wanted this dual plot where you have one person climbing and going through this, and then there's like this other B plot that happens with this character. So I always knew I wanted that. But I had written this story, it was more YA ish at the time. But I had written that with the idea of Death Show Colossus, that the tournament was going to be book 2 of that. So when I decided to put that stuff into God's Blood, I had already kind of created that magic system that was in Death Show Colossus, where you drink this tonic and it kind of gives you superhero power. And it was kind of like, as I was writing all these different stories, I realized that I have very similar magic system. Like the basis is kind of very similar. And, basically Final Fantasy stuff, with elementals and stuff like that. And I'm like, why am I trying to make these different? Why should I not just like put them all and create my own Sanderson fanfic, which I always find is a fun comparison, Sanderson fanfic. But so when I was doing all that, I have that system, and when I was writing Lady Drakeslayer, I actually did create the shared universe just kind of while I was pantsing my way through this one giant reveal chapter of the gods and stuff. And then it just hit me, and I'm like, okay, well, now we're doing this. There's a shared universe. And then when I was done with Drakeslayer, I was like, I need to branch off into something smaller. I need it to be smaller scale. I need it to be a smaller cast, POV wise. I need it to be punchy. Like I wanted something to just be action-packed, balls to the wall from almost start to finish. I wanted it to be focused on these on the two POVs, and then just have fun with it. Like I wanted it to be fun because Lady Drakeslayer, that world's kind of dark. It's very dark at times. This book is the Death Show Colossus. I don't shy away from the death. I mean, it's in the title. Like 90% of the characters aren't going to make it. And they just bite the dust left and right. But I wanted it to be very fast paced, but you also have to have some kind of depth emotionally in there in a book for people to enjoy it. Like you can't just have a balls to the wall action movie in a book and expect people to want to read it maybe more than once, or sit down and not just like this is boring after a while. So that's when I really dove into the two main characters. The female character, I wanted to be like Ripley, or like, Katniss Everdeen, or whatever you want to call them. The Sarah Connor, as you called it in your review. It has to be a female badass. Like, I grew up in Final Fantasy. My favorite characters were always the female badasses. Tifa Lockhart, I loved Renoa from Final Fantasy VIII. I obviously in 9, Garnet was always a lot of fun for me, even though she starts off as kind of like a weaker character. She got stronger throughout the game. So I've always played the female character. So I love writing that. And then I wanted this not weaker, but like this more naive little boy. He's a teenager, younger, doesn't know things. And I wanted to write something like that to be the counter to that. And I wanted to make their relationship, they're not brother and sister, but they are by what I call survival siblings. They're in this dystopian world, and both their parents were killed on the game show in years past. So they're together as a ecosystem for them to survive. And I wanted to show that's where family can be the heart of this book. Like found family, blood. It's not blood. It's about who you pick to be your family. And I wanted to focus on that. And that's really when this book started taking off for me, because I enjoy writing action scenes. They're easy, but they're not the best part of books for me. I like all the rest of the stuff that goes into books, obviously, and in other stories and whatnot that you read, and all the love and emotional growth, the depth, all that good stuff I enjoy. So I needed to have both. But I also want, like I said, I also wanted it to be short, fast, punchy, and deadly to boil it down, I guess you would say.
Yeah, and I am struggling to think of another book actually that does it like this, because it felt like an action movie along the way. Do either of you guys have kind of like not even a recommendation, but what off the top of your head is kind of something similar to this? This felt very unique to me. I don't know why. It was just something I'm not reading all the time, where it's like, how long is it? Like 350, 400 pages? It's not
330 pages.
330. And it's like a nonstop action ride, but it doesn't, like you said, when you're writing it, I'm sure that's a little bit of a challenge to not have the stakes be so high the entire time, where you're just like, okay, so like no one's safe, and like I got it. But I can't think of anything. I enjoyed that way of storytelling so much, and I don't know any other ones like that off the top of my head.
So having not read it yet, but based on what both of you has said, and Bill, especially about like the emotional beats that you like wanted to make sure you weaved in there, because action's great and it's fun to read, but like you said, if you're not connected with the characters as you're reading through it, then you don't care you could kill the whole cast, you could burn the book at the end, it wouldn't matter. I think the biggest one that surprised me was Dungeon Crawler Carl. Like, that is a book where you run into all of these things. It's fast paced. It's got, all the metrics, because it's a lit RPG. It's the concept on its head when you explain it to people is insane, because you're like, oh, this guy, the end of the world, and he's in his underwear with his cat that talks. And people are like, yeah, okay, dude. But the emotional beats, especially as that series continues, it was such a shock, because I feel like it doesn't get talked about all that often, but it's such a huge piece of that book. And it sounds like you went for a very similar style in the way you told it, where you're never bored. And it's the same thing, Dungeon Crawler Carl. You're never bored reading that book. It's always something is happening. But it's those brief moments of introspective, conversation and internal dialogue with Carl. And then that found family that comes with all of that, being thrust into a world where you're just basically going to die. That really lets you kind of, I think, take some liberties with emotion where you probably wouldn't be able to in a less demanding setting. So I mean, I don't know. Do you think that would be
I haven't read Dungeon Crawler Carl, but David Walters, Lord TBR of Fanfi Addict, he said that this would fit as like a level in DCC world. So like he said that Esme Rosaline from everybody loves her.
Esme, who destroys my TBR once a day. Yeah,
exactly. She has a review coming out on Grimdark magazine. She shared it with me. I surprised her completely with this book because she wasn't expecting, or she was expecting like just all that action and to not really care as much. But the fact that I was able to pull her in with the characters and stuff, she really loved that. But she mentions Gideon the Ninth. I read it, but it wasn't the best for me. But I didn't like the writing style personally. I didn't like how the book was written, but that's just me. But yeah, I don't know. I really, the funny thing is I really am not the biggest fan of trial books or, those types of books, like that's just not my particular brand of vodka. But then I wrote that book, I wrote this game show. But when I was creating this, and yes, it sits in the same universe. And yes, there are hints, like you don't have to read the other books. This is completely Death Show Colossus, complete standalone. I have no intention of ever writing another book in this world, but there is possibility because I do leave it open-ended at the end a little bit, but I don't intend to. Never say never. But I wanted it to be standalone, and I wanted it to be a genre bender. There's so much, I call this fantasy cyberpunk because there is the cyberpunk aspect of the Drone Hawks where the character gets plugged into it and he's in this camera, but he's also consciously mixed with the female main character so they can talk to each other during this tournament. And that's where I was able to build the emotional connection because they're 8 years apart, which I drew on me and my sister, and we have this banter with each other. But in the book, she's more like his older mother. He calls her mother, all sarcastically, and then she just calls him shit stink and you little brat and all this stuff. But you can tell that they just love each other, and that was where I wanted to build the emotion. And then on top of that, I go and throw these twists in there. And that's one of the moments where when Pete was reading it, and so far everyone that has read it prior to the release of the book or, read the arc or whatever, has messaged me at this one particular moment and said, fuck you. I can't believe you fucking went there. And yeah, I did. I went there. And I enjoy that as an author, is getting that response. I write it for you to be pissed off, and then you tell me that you're pissed off, and I'm like, yes. Yes. And that when I get that response back, though, I know that I did something right, and I made you care about these characters because there's something that is revealed with that. And then I do another one a little bit later towards the end of the book, and it's all interconnected, and I wanted to make sure that emotional depth was there, so it doesn't just feel like a case in point. Last night, I've been wanting to watch for a while this terrible Sylvester Stallone movie from the 90s called Daylight.
Oh my god!
It's like the stuck underground version of Cliffhanger, right? Without the terrorists. Yeah. And I've been wanting to watch it forever. I don't know why. I've just wanted to watch it. It's not been on any streamers, but it finally came on Prime this month. And I'm like, hell yes. So I watched it last night, and I'm like, oh god, this movie's so bad. Why do I want to watch this?
Daylight sucks.
It's so bad, but I don't know why I wanted to watch it. But that's the same. The point I'm trying to make is I didn't want the book to be just a bad action movie like that. I wanted it to have all that heart. And then there's banter, there's fun stuff, cool reveals, body horror with the magic system because it's more like a superhero power as opposed to magic. Very X-Men vibe with the characters. I'll get into it. There's 5 what I call strains of magic. Flux is what the tonic is called that they drink. It's called Flux, and each one is a different strain. So there's what's called Slabhead, They can turn their bodies into stone, and they're indestructible. Like their whole bodies turns to stone. There's Dovetail, which these people can basically are almost like Reed Richards, where they can like shoot their bodies out in different sizes and shapes, but that also heals them. So like they can heal quickly with Dovetail. There's Eyeball, which is kind of almost like telepathy in it. And then the fourth one is Smart Money, which these people can see seconds into the future, and their brains like can process all what happens in the future. So they start seeing like these carbon copies of potential outcomes. And it's almost like, for destiny, that type of stuff. And they can make a decision based on one of these outcomes that they see, and they already know what's going to happen a couple minutes into it in advance. And then the fifth one is called Leech. It can use all four of those. Like they can use all four of them. And the tonics run out during, like they can only have a finite amount of time using these powers. It hurts them from the inside. It takes away their future life. So it kind of like drains them of future life. So if they use it too much, they can be they become desiccated, like almost like a burnt out husk almost in the future. So I really wanted to have that be front and center with the magic, but then also I have a B plot of a heist rebellion type thing to take over. There's a dystopian government, very similar to the Running Man, where the main character or the main villain is kind of like the head bitch in charge. She's at the third POV. So I do this one thing because it's a game show. I have what's called broadcasting live interludes, where it's written in present tense, almost like you're watching a commercial, you're watching the show live. So it's not from any point of view other than, you're witnessing what's being said. And then I have a scene break, and then I go into her POV, and she's just like Richard Dawson from The Running Man. She's like, 1 minute she's like nice and friendly. The next minute she's like telling you to go fuck yourself and, you're a terrible human being and, get away from me and that stuff. So she was just a blast to write, and she's just so over the top.
She is. She reminded me of I'm never Caesar or whatever from Hunger Games is like the host, because it was.
Oh,
yeah, that's perfect.
Yep.
I didn't get to. I don't know if I don't remember if all the artwork was in the physical.
Dewey did all the headers. So we got that one, and then each title is he added. It's got the word, the title in it. It's kind of hard to see, but I will reveal this now because nobody knows this except for the WWP chat. This is the other main character. Nearly every one of the chapter titles is a shout out to an indie book title.
very cool.
So I'll give you one that's really easy.
If Zach made it in there, I don't know if I can read it at this point.
Yeah, Whisper of the Colossus.
Yeah. The Whisper That Replaced 19.
Yeah.
That one's pretty easy. If you follow our little group around, you can tell who that is. But yeah, that was a lot of fun. Also kind of hard because some titles like Dave Lawson's are very hard to fit in to a title scheme. Pawns of Blank.
He really should have considered that
blank.
while he was planning those out.
Yeah, I know.
You do a better job with that.
Terribly inconsiderate friend, Dave. Just making everybody's life difficult by naming his book stuff.
So bald.
Fun random thing is I kept, when I was writing the review for Dave's book, I kept mixing up the series title with the end of, because it's like
It's the same thing.
Pawns. Yeah, because I kept doing like Pawns of Havoc. So I'm going to do it now. Pawns of Havoc, which I think is the series, and Pawns of Chaos.
No, Pawns of Havoc is the novella.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. So I was writing it for the
series
novella.
title is The Envoys of Chaos.
Yes, that's what I was doing. So I kept calling it the Pawns of Chaos.
Yeah.
Like half the review, I had to like find it replaced because I just kept flopping back and forth because my brain just couldn't do it. So
Right.
yeah, thanks, Dave.
Yeah, thanks, Dave.
Envoys of Glory,
man.
Envoys of Chaos. Yeah, it's just a lot of envoys. There's a lot of people, on a mission.
Everybody needs an envoy. Dave would be very happy to hear that.
Well, when you were creating this world, I have to ask, because I always think it's the craziest thing to me. What are you pantsing this, or was this more of an outline? I know you said it's been a while that you were working on writing it, but I mean, especially like with other things behind the scenes that I'm not going to mention, I've tried my hand at just writing something. And at first I did a full-on outline where every chapter I had listed and what I wanted in it. And I felt like it left no room for any sort of improv. And then I was like, you know what? Fuck that. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to, how hard could it be? I'm just going to write, man. And I think I had like 4 sentences. And I was just like, I am really bad at this. Like, there's imposter syndrome, and then there's just knowing you suck.
You'll get there, Pete. Don't worry. Well, it's hard to talk about without going into the 17 years, because like I said, this was part of a different series. And at one point there was like a 9-book generational saga that this was a part of. So it all kind of like existed. But when I finally pulled it out as its own thing again, I knew that it was going to be, so the way I write, or the way I do my outlines, is I go, here's your chapter, here's who's the POV, and then here are 2 or 3 things that have to happen in this chapter. This person meets this person, this fight scene happens, this reveal happens, etc. That's all that my outline is. I'm not a plotter. I have it all in my head. Like, I know what the scenes are going to be, and I know where the outcome's going to be. And I know there's been some discourse recently about, this concept, because we're the authors and we create it. But I personally believe the character should tell me where to go. I just let it flow. Yeah, I'm the author, but I find it funny. You ever see the movie Soul, the Pixar movie Soul?
I haven't.
Okay, well, it's a good one. So there's this part in the scene, or one of the scenes, so spoiler alert, the main character dies, and his soul goes up, or is about to go back, and he's trying to get this one soul to go to Earth. And she's on this different plane of existence, and he's like trying to teach her all this stuff. She takes him to this like giant desert, right? And this is where what people are called getting in the zone. So like, either if you're enjoying yourself or you're just lost because you don't like your job or whatever, you're in the zone. Like, how you just zone out type thing. And there's this one character who's this like groovy guy, and he's just like the sailing this giant ship in there, and it's part of the plot. But his thing in the zone is he's like one of those those like giant sign spinners on the side of the streets, and he just gets lost in the zone, spinning all the sign around everywhere. And I always think of that when it comes to writing, because when you're in the writing zone, you're just not really paying attention to what's going on. And it's just kind of flowing. The scenes are flowing out. The characters are flowing. The dialogue, all that's flowing, at least for me. When I find that I plot too much, I can't ever get into the zone. Like, I can't, I know some people, their outlines can be pages on pages long, and they'll have dialogue that they actually write out and put in their outline. I can't do that. It just doesn't feel natural to me. However, I will say, because I did that naming structure of the chapter titles, I was kind of forced to stay a little bit more in the same POV than I normally would. Because like, if I say I write, okay, these are the 2 things that are going to happen in this scene, but as I'm in the flow, the scene starts getting longer and longer, some more stuff happens, but like, I'll just chop it off and make it another chapter. Couldn't really do that as much with that structure that I was trying to work with. But I also didn't have to worry about it, because I knew that this plot was so fast. Like, I wanted it, again, to feel like an action movie. In an action movie, it takes place over the course of maybe a day or 2. Like it's not, a couple hours. Like the Running Man show, like the movie itself, is like, it takes place over a couple of hours. That's what I was going for with this. It takes place over 2 nights. This book, really, once it gets going. And so my plot was always going to be quick, my plotting was going to be basic, and because it's very action heavy, I knew that there's just going to be action in every chapter basically for most of these chapters, and I just knew that I had to get these reveals in somehow, and I also needed to get in character deaths. So it's like it was just working that way for me. It's different than how I write my other stuff though too, because this is such a shorter book, less POVs. I didn't have to dig deep so much, because when you write multiple POVs, like many POVs, and if they interact or if they don't interact, you have to be conscious of the pacing. You don't want, like, if you're going to switch between POVs, you don't want like a high tension moment, something very tense, to just die by going to a different POV if they're not in the same type of rising tension. The best example I can give of that, did you guys watch Stranger Things?
Yes,
Not the most
everything but
recent
the new
season.
one.
No, not season 2. Did you see season 2?
Yes.
Okay, you know that episode where 11 goes on her joyride to a different city and meets some of the other X-Men baby?
Mm-hmm.
That was that whole episode is the reason why I dislike season 2, is because the previous episode, Sean Astin's character and all of them are in the lab and they're being attacked by the demi-dogs or whatever, the Gorgon dogs or whatever they're called. It's a high tension scene, episode. And then it goes to that crazy, weird episode with that number 11, and all that tension is eviscerated.
Mm-hmm.
So you cannot do that with multi points of view, because you're going to eviscerate the tension needlessly, and they're not going to want to go back to that high tension. It's like you're losing your reader if you just fall off a cliff like that. But with this book, I didn't have that, because quicker pace, smaller amount of time. The characters are right on top of each other for the most part. They're all doing the same. They're going to the same purpose, not going, branching off. So long story short, my plotting or my outline was a lot different process than I normally have it.
So based on what you just said, I have a quick question. Have you read Strength of the Few yet?
No.
No? Okay. All right. You're going to hate that book. I'm just going to say it now. Based on what you just said, you're going to hate that book. I do have an actual question, though, directly related. I'm curious, when somebody finishes your book, what do you hope is something that they take away with them from it?
Well, in this one, specifically, I want them to take away that they had fun. Like this book, I had so much fun writing it. Like I said, it's not deep. It's not meant to be deep. It's not meant to be, revelation, like life revelation type stuff. But I want I want you to have fun. Like that's really what I want it to be. Like, when Pete finished it, like his message to me was like, hell yeah. And I'm like, that's all I need. Like that's exactly what I want. And like I said, when Esme finished it, her response was exactly what I wanted, because this is not her comfort zone type of reading the book. But she said she had a lot of fun with it. And I'm like, that's exactly what I wanted. Like, I just want you to have fun. Like it's like not deep. It's dark and bloody, but it's not like end of the world type stuff. There's not a chosen one trope in here. There's not supposed to be this huge character growth arc, but there is a lot of character growth for one of the main characters. The other one, she's, as May describes her, a feral, character, which she doesn't grow as much, but she does. But yeah, that's what I want it to be. I want you to just come away and say, that was fun. Like, what the fuck did I read? That was so much fun.
Mm-hmm. And that was definitely the vibe of it.
Yeah, I definitely think that's great too. Like, I don't think everything needs to be some profound, like, I walked away and my life has changed. Like, not everybody's writing Steinbeck and East of Eden and, like, I'm going to come away and be a better human being because I read it. I'm just going to be a happier person, at least for a little bit.
Mm-hmm. And I keep going back to this, but it's like an 80s action movie. You know exactly what you're going to get with that type of movie. And it's just popcorn. Like I said, after I read Lady Drake Slayer, there's like those books are dark and they're deep and it's really, there's a lot going on in those books, with the characters and arcs and all that stuff. And I'm just like, I needed something which I call popcorn. Like, it's just something. And Pete said it perfectly, because Pete reads multiple books at a time. He's like, I was reading this book and it was very dark and dense. And I'm like, I could just go read a couple chapters of Colossus and just have fun. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, that is exactly what I wanted out of this book.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. And you already mentioned it, where the stakes are high, but it's not, if this person dies, the world is over, like that type of thing. And it wasn't like when you finished it, you're like, okay, so like we're going to go to book 2 and then book 3 and then 4, and maybe we'll see how it wraps up in 6 years. And it was just like, I read it in a span of like 3 weeks, maybe. And it was like 3 or 4 chapters at a clip. And it was just like, I feel I would get done and just be like, I'm bummed that I can't keep reading this right now, because it feels like time goes so quick when you're reading it, where it's just like you blink and look up and you're like, I'm 80 pages further, and like an hour went by. It was such quick reading, and especially for with a lot of the other books that all 3 of us really read, it is a perfect palate cleanser. I'll say that right now for someone. Oh, dude, I was reading the second Sun Eater book at the same time as this. Oh. So I was reading like the Sun Eater, which I'm going to go on record again. Devin will yell at me. Book 1's better than book 2. But I was reading that and then would pick this up and be like, oh my God, like this is fast paced. This is enjoyable. Like it was such like a perfect yin yang to a lot of the things out there, that, are amazing. I'm not knocking fucking Sun Eater. But it's also, the stakes are much lower here, and it doesn't feel that way. So I think you did a very good job of like really getting it across that, the world is fucked. There's a couple of different plot lines going on where I don't want to throw spoilers out there, but the stakes are high for these characters, but it isn't that earth shattering type thing where you're just, oh my God, like the fate of humanity is resting on their. It was a very fun time to read, which is, it's what's needed, especially in like the world today. Like, yeah.
I mean, I will say there is some political satire in this book. I put some, I mean, it's a dystopia. It's like got a dystopian feel. So you have to have some political satire in it, mainly very similar to how the Running Man is with the media controlling propaganda and all that shit. So I wanted that to be in there. But, it was fun. It's funny you say that, is because like I keep going back to Esme, and, I just love her. She's the best in this community. But she read it in under a day. And like, she started it one night and then she was done by the same time next night. And I'm like, okay, you must have liked it because you've read it in one day. And, Andres, who did my beta, he said if he wasn't doing the beta, like with the, making notes and all this stuff, he would have finished it in 2 days. Because like, that's how much he wanted to read it. I know Audrey reread it. Audrey Hopper did my beta, and then she reread it after I did my beta edits. And it took her a couple of days. Like, she blasted through it. And I'm like, that's exactly what I want. Like, that's what I wanted with this story. Just go have fun with it. Don't, like, if you want to put it down, you can come back. It shouldn't be like that hard to remember what's going on. Yeah, you might have to remember these magic powers, but I put a glossary in the beginning so you can go back and check it. But it's just one of those things where you can just pick it back up again. And it's just like, okay, yeah, this is what's happening.
Audrey just popped in the chat because it's something I wanted to ask too. Why do you say dystopian like that? Have I been saying it wrong my entire life? Is it an accent thing? Is it just you being from Illinois that's really kind of fucking with our
Long Island? Dystopian. Dystopian.
Devin, how do you say it?
Well, I mean, it's an unfair advantage because I'm from the Northeast where we don't have accents. We just speak correctly, and it's dystopian. But, it's fine. I understand that, I don't even, is Illinois considered like the upper Midwest? I don't even know how this works.
Illinois and Indiana is Midwest.
Okay. Yeah. Not my strong point. But yeah, I mean, honestly, I don't know. I say shit like that all the time. I say drawers, and people are like, "Oh my god, that's not how you say draw." And I'm like,
Washington.
again, New England. My washing machine. No, that was my grandmother. My grandmother used to talk like that. Drove me crazy. But anyway.
I've never heard draw like that. I say draw. I'm from Long Island. I kind of just suck with
You
my
say
accent.
milk or milk? Milk? You ever heard that one?
Milk? No, I've never heard
Milk?
milk. Milk is. I feel like that's a universal. Now I'm upset. That's a word that
I've
incorrectly.
I had a friend that growing up, and he would say milk, and I'm like, no, it's milk.
My 1.5-year-old says it like that. Milk. That's what she runs around and screams in the house because apparently we own cows. But
yeah, milk is making me upset.
Yeah, no, I was letting the dystopian go. I was like, okay, I could just live with it. I'm not going to say a word. I was like, it's my first time here. Let me somewhat behave.
Listen, Cal's pointing it out. Can't blame it on a Midwest accent. I think he's from outside of Chicago too. So, I'm going to have to bring it up when we get the book 2 from him. I'm going to just have to subtly drop this in there and see how he says it. I'm going to be like, are you writing a dystopian book after this one? And we'll see what he says.
We need a permanent, that needs to be a permanent Rum Runners question now that you ask every author. It's just, how do you say dystopian? Poor Bill. We're supposed to be showcasing Bill, not attacking him, I feel like.
I don't care. I'm used to it.
He is still the focus.
That is true.
Pivoting back, because this is a big question, because I think all of us, Bill, you said you were born in 84. Devin, what year were you born?
89.
I'm also in 89. So if you had to pick 80s or early 90s, we'll go early 90s because of us a little bit. But as an action movie, all-time favorite, what would you say?
Oh, that's tough.
If
Gut
it's
answer. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead, Devin. Go ahead.
I was gonna say gut answer. Judge Dredd. Always original Judge Dredd, not that shitty ass remake either.
What?
Like,
The remake?
What? That one
in
was
comparison
so
to
good.
the original, no. It was good. It was better than what they did to my probably second favorite, which is oh my god, I'm gonna blank on it. Why am I blanking? Schwarzenegger on Mars.
Oh, Total Recall.
Total Recall, thank you. That was an abomination, and I love Colin Farrell.
Yeah,
That was an
that
abomination, and everyone involved in that should be ashamed. But no, the OG Judge Dredd. We don't have to get into the semantics. The other one was good, but it wasn't as good.
I love Carl Urban as Dredd. He was so good in it. But also that came out right around the time of The Raid. So like that style of movie was like me.
Yeah.
Early 2010 era. No, if I'm going to just pick the ultimate action movie that is one of my go-tos, and I still watch it religiously this day, it's a toss-up between Predator and Commando. Those two movies, I would say Commando tops it just a little bit because the one-liners in that movie are just so ridiculous. I like such a good movie.
Yeah.
Such a good movie.
I'm keeping with the Schwarzenegger theme and saying Terminator 2.
Oh, Terminator 2. I watched that so many times as a kid, mostly because my mother just, anytime it was on TV. The other movie she does that with is Alien. If it's on TV, it does not matter. Oh, I've seen the movie Alien. I could quote it front to back probably 500 times because anytime she was a stay-at-home mom at the time and anytime it was on any of the channels, it was on. It didn't matter.
Aliens is in my top 5 of the action movies. So, like I said earlier, Big Trouble in Little China is always one of my top go-tos. The Running Man, definitely. If you're going to go into Stallone, obviously Rambo 2. I mean, First Blood is one of the best, action movies of the history of the world. It's such a good movie, but it's not the same as Rambo 2 in the 80s. Like it's not that type of stuff.
Yeah.
What was the oh my god.
The other one I loved from Stallone was is it Demolition Man with the 3 seashells, right?
Yes.
I can't stand Demolition Man.
Oh my god, that hurts my soul, Bill. I don't know if we could be friends anymore. That movie was phenomenal. It was so bad and so good all at the same time.
I like
give
the
me Cliffhanger. I like Cliffhanger. Cliffhanger, and if we're gonna go with Stallone in the '90s, Cliffhanger is definitely up there. Obviously, Judge Dredd. Can't go wrong with Judge Dredd. Obviously, Daylight is not as good as I remember it being.
Oh my God, Daylight was so bad. I remember watching that as a kid and being like, "This sucked."
I don't remember. Like, I haven't seen it in many years, and I don't know why I had this fascination with it, like, in wanting to watch it. Like, I've seriously been wanting to watch it for like a year now. Like, I don't know why. I just wanted to, and then I watched it, and yeah, it was not good.
No, there was another
Tremors.
movie.
Can't go wrong with Tremors.
Tremors is good. I was gonna say, do you guys remember Volcano?
Yes, that was such a good movie.
Came out at the same time,
I feel like it's so
around the same time as
underrated.
Dante's Peak.
Dante's Peak, yeah.
The weaker version of Volcano for sure. Dante's Peak. It was.
Yep.
Pierce Brosnan should have just stayed Bond and called it a day.
Speaking of weaker versions, are you guys Armageddon or Deep Impact?
Oh, Armageddon. Oh my God.
I'm Armageddon.
But the emotional notes in Armageddon, and it's Aerosmith. You cannot.
I mean, okay, you guys are a few years younger than me. When that came out, that fucking song was every slow dance in middle school and high school I went to, and it's just like, I hate that Aerosmith song.
I mean, yeah, it's not great, but also, I mean, Steve Buscemi rides a nuke in space. How much more do you want?
He was such a creepy weirdo in that movie. It was so good.
He's a creepy weirdo, and I feel like it just comes with the territory for him. But what an amazing actor! I'm in the middle of a Sopranos rewatch right now. He's obnoxiously good, and that's
so good.
I just rotate. I'm on the Sopranos now. I'm going to finish it and then restart The Wire, and then I'm going to finish that and restart the Sopranos. I'm in HBO.
See, I need to just start watching series again because I just rotate through the same group of movies left and right. Like I just finished Die Hard with a Vengeance this week. You know, that's been my go-to this week. Which I will say, okay, as far as those movies go, Die Hard, the first one, is, you know, top tier. But if we're talking about rewatchability, With a Vengeance is better.
Yeah, that's the best. I watch that every Christmas. It's 1 in 3, 2 doesn't exist. I don't know what they were doing. We all just pretend it never happened. Oh my! It's just such a weird.
Oh, it's bad, but I don't mind it. Like every once in a while, I'll throw it on. But yeah, no, 3. I will watch 3 any day of the week. With a Vengeance is so good.
With a Vengeance is the one with Samuel L. Jackson, right?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, that one's awesome.
So good.
Poor Bruce Willis. He's doing okay, I think.
He's still around.
He's chugging along.
I don't know if he's mentally there anymore. Deadwood's such a great show. Oh my God, Deadwood's so good.
Black Sails I never watched.
Me neither.
So Black Sails I didn't watch, but I've heard from countless people the first season is kind of like meh, and then it really gets good. Like it's one of those shows that it's just so good after that first season.
All right, it's worth watching. I need something new, but I like, especially it's going to kind of it's not going to kind of suck. I'm catching myself now, but I'm saying with a new baby coming, I had to really put a caveat before that sentence. But my spare time is out the window. That's kind of why I'm just like rewatching things I've already watched, because I've heard Deadwood is amazing also.
It's so good.
Right? I think we've talked about it. Like I've heard it from other people, but I turn it on at like 10:45 at night and I make it like 20 minutes into the same first episode of Deadwood. And I wake up 2 hours later on the couch, like, what the fuck just happened? And every person's like, no, go to your amazing show. And
Deadwood, Ian McShane, his character, oh man, is so cool. Like he is such a good character. And I watched recently because if you know the history of Deadwood, they did 3 seasons and they didn't know if they were going to go through and, you know, make a 4th season or whatever. And it was on the back burner for many, many years. And they finally made that movie, you know, 4 or 5 years ago. HBO finally did it to kind of close it off. But I just watched a YouTube video with a lot of history that I had no idea. Apparently, like the director is like such a perfectionist. And he was the reason why they never made more of it because he couldn't get the plot that he wanted. And then the money kept on, like the pricing kept on going up and up and up. And HBO was just like, we can't wait any longer. And HBO was like, we're done. But they wanted it. Like they wanted Deadwood to keep going, but he couldn't get his shit together. And it's just sad because that's such a good show. It's so good. Timothy Olyphant was amazing in that show. Like I said, Ian McShane was really good. Powers Booth was in it. I don't know if you guys know who Powers Booth is. He was phenomenal as like Ian McShane's rival. So like their scenes together were just so good. Powers Booth, did you ever see Tombstone?
Yes.
Yeah.
He's Curly Bill.
Ah, okay.
I know who that is. Okay. Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, what a stacked cast.
Yeah, stacked cast.
HBO shows used to be like always stacked. Like now, I don't know. I can't even tell you what's an HBO show outside of Heated Rivalry at this point, in current day. So I don't know who's in anything anymore, but I feel like the shows on those channels used to be stacked with people, either like great actors that were already in a bunch of crazy stuff, or people that would show up in HBO and then they became like blockbuster, like movie stars.
Yeah. And they have like their own stable of actors too. Like if you go back and watch like Oz and like who comes out of Oz, and you see like the Mayhem commercial guy who's just hilarious. But like besides things like that, you see like the actor who plays Herc in The Wire is in there for a couple episodes. Kenny Wangler from The Wire is Bodie. Kenny Wangler in Oz is Bodie in The Wire. Like it always just ties back where even Steve Buscemi was in The Sopranos, then Boardwalk. I feel like once they have a good connection with a certain person, they're just like, you're on retainer. Like whatever comes out, you're
going to pay you a lot of money.
Speaking of HBO and shows, have you guys watched any of the new Night of the Seven Kingdoms yet?
Nope.
No one, huh? All right.
I don't care.
That's where I'm at.
I honestly don't care if he ever finishes the book. Like I'm at that point. This is why it's sad. Okay, I knew about I read Game of Thrones well before the show came out. Like I was a longtime reader with Game of Thrones, and when I heard that HBO was making Game of Thrones back in like 2007, 2008 is when it like kind of was announced. I was like, shit, I'm excited because like we didn't have any fantasy shows back then. The only one around that time was that terrible Sword of Truth series that Sam Raimi created for WGN, Legend of the Seeker. I was like, because I grew up on that series too. Unfortunately, it doesn't hold up as well. But when you're a kid a teenager in the '90s, it's very edgy, and you thought it was kind of cool. Doesn't hold up, And the author was an asshole, like a legitimate asshole to people. But yeah, we didn't have fantasy shows back then, and I knew Game of Thrones was such a great series, and I was waiting for that 5th book to come out. Was it Dance of Dragons? Is that what it is?
Mm-hmm.
I can't even remember anymore. It's been so long. But like, I was so excited, and then the first 3 seasons of the show, fantastic. Like the writing is so good because it's following the books pretty closely, And then season 4 happens. Like I don't know if you guys read the books, but getting rid of the character of Lady Stoneheart ended it for being good for me. Like I just did not want, I didn't care because that changed the arc of Jaime, and it changed the arc of Brienne. It changed the arc of Sansa Stark. It changed the arc of everybody by getting rid of Lady Stoneheart. And I remember it's funny because like Game of Thrones started, and I had just started dating my now wife, like a couple weeks before Game of Thrones, like as Game of Thrones started. And she came over to my house. We were watching the episode where Lissa Aaron is introduced, and she's the one breastfeeding her 7-year-old son on screen. And my wife, or now wife, comes in. We just started dating, and she is not a fantasy fan. She's not into this stuff. And she's like, "What the fuck are you watching? Like, what pervert am I dating? What is this?"
Mm-hmm.
And then it's funny because I got her hooked on Game of Thrones. We watched the next 2 seasons together, and then season 4 we watched, and then I stopped because I was pissed that they were going different ways. So she kept watching the show, and she like made me rewatch seasons 5, 6, and 7 before 8 all the 8 came out. And I didn't care. Like at that point, and now that the book's not been out for 15 years, going on 15 years, like I just stop writing all this extra stuff and finish Winds of Winter, please.
Yeah. It's been so long the Jets were actually in the playoffs by the last time the book came out, which is one of the saddest statistics I'll ever mention live. But it's been that long, so it's like I'm losing on all accounts. But I will say the new show is very good, so that's something to at least enjoy. They're like 30 minutes. You fire those off on a clip, which is nice. But one of the big things I wanted to ask, because I know, Devin, you recently have been annihilating social media. You're killing it. And I wanted to ask Bill, as an author, because I want to hear what both of you guys have to say, because this is something that I didn't expect to have to worry about going into the book community. I feel like I was just mega naive jumping into it, especially from an author standpoint, where you guys are just so focused on, creating the story, everything that goes into it, especially in the self-publishing world, where it's tracking down a cover artist, getting that done, the layout to make sure it's good, even just the typography, everything like that goes into it. Was trying to become a marketing strategist on your agenda of things as a author, and how was that transition to do?
Hell no, I hate it. As anybody that follows me on social media, I talk about other indie books hell of a lot more than I talk about my own books. I how do I say this without trying to sound offensive to people that are doing it? I'm not a look at me type of person, and it's hard because, as you say, as a self-published author, we have to be look at me because there's a million books out there. I find it really hard. Like I find it really difficult to go out and make these posts like, oh, here's my book, buy my book, basically. Like I don't like that. I'm not enjoying that. Like I don't enjoy that. And it's been interesting because you have to do, well, not only do you have to do that, but when you're doing the Kickstarter, you really need to get into that. And, now that this thing's about to drop, I feel so bad that I'm going to be posting like this book every single day for like the next couple of weeks, because it just feels wrong in my mind. Like it just feels weird, and I'm not a fan of that, but I know I have to do it. Like it just comes with the territory. And that also comes into the burnout, because when you transition from the book being done or ready to be released, you transition into this marketer mind. And it's just this weird phase where you're like, I don't want to do anything with this book. Like, I don't want to, like, I'm in it right now where I'm like, I want this book to be out. I'm done. And I don't want to like think about it for a little while, because it's just like this weird nebulous cross section of doing stuff with this book. And you just got to, like Greg says, yeah, it's just this, you got to do it. And I will do it, but I'll drag my feet behind the camera, and swear a lot about this stuff, because it's just like, it's not my type of fun, to be honest.
It's my opinion from a not selling anything standpoint, but somebody who obviously to a certain degree markets themselves, I guess is probably the best way to put it. I treat it like storytelling. If you put your mind in that mindset, it won't feel as bad. Like you can see it in my earlier stuff where I was trying to be like a content creator or a marketer, you know what I mean? Where I was like, oh, this is what I have to do to be like, viral and big. Like the reel that went viral for me was one that I made just being dumb as shit, and I just really wanted to say fairy smut. Like that really what it comes down to. I was like, oh, this is very smart because I saw some like bullshit on TikTok where they were like, it's not literacy or some fucking stupid argument that made no sense whatsoever. And I was like, oh, this is gold. I was like, I'm just going to make a stupid reel about it because I read all these books. And I mean, I did not expect it to do what it did for sure. But it taught me, like, I told a funny story. Like, that's really what it was, whether it's funny or beats or whatever. Like, I approach it like that. Like, I love stories. I'm never going to write one. It's way too much fucking work. Kudos to you guys that do it. You know, a 30-second reel is like, you know, the extent of how far I'm going. But yeah, it's the same concept. I think if you treat it that way, it probably might not feel as gross. It's a little different when you're selling a product versus yourself, but I guess at the same time, you really are selling yourself. It's your product, it's your book. But yeah, I think just getting creative with it, not, you know, like I think Dave Lawson's a good example of like a great way I've seen somebody like market their book and have fun with it. Don't make it feel transactional all the time. Like, obviously the goal, that'd be my advice. Again, I'm not putting anything out. I think I shill more than most authors do their own books half the time, but that's because I enjoy what I read. So I'm always happy to do it. That's the other end of it, which I think that, you know, the cover reveals, all that kind of stuff, like reaching out to people in the space makes a huge difference. It, like, behind the scenes stuff too that a lot of people I think don't think about is like the SEO on Google is huge. Like, the first thing people will do is they'll see like somebody talk a book or come across it, and it's the one thing where like ChatGPT hasn't replaced Google, at least in my experience. Where people will Google a book and they'll be like, you know, so and so book or whatever, and I can literally verify it. Like, my Google clicks on cover reveals, as the popularity and the release gets closer, the traffic goes up, and the amount of clicks and the amount of search queries for that book go up. So yeah, that'd be my advice, is like, have fun with it, but also don't box yourself to just social media. It's surprising how much people forget. Like, websites, I don't do a whole lot with the website these days. I still post a review here and there and stuff like that, but the traffic is just, it's a constant flowing, and it's, you know, books is that unique space where they're timeless in a sense, because in 5 or 10 years from now, somebody can tell me about your book and I'm going to Google it, and that search result is still going to be there. That cover reveal will still be there, the reviews, so on and so forth. So I think that's an interesting way to look at the marketing. Obviously you want to push the Kickstarter right now, so that's a little bit different. But.
Yeah. And it's interesting because you don't realize when you're doing it, you know, when you decide to make the decision to go self-pub, you've spent all that time writing. Like, that's what you're doing. And then you don't realize that how much time you actually have to spend to sell that book or market that book. And obviously we would love to be full. All of us would probably love to have an infinite amount of time to do it. Mm-hmm. But we all have lives. We all have jobs. Some of us have kids. Some of us have families, whatever the case may be, whatever your other life is, you only have so much amount of time. And the other part, the sad part about self-publishing is it's always the question of when's that next book coming out, because you have to stay relevant in that algorithm or in people's minds of like, oh, you know, you don't have to pump out a book every month, but you need to still be constantly putting something out, you know, regularly, so people don't forget about you. So that means you have to write and then you have to market. And that time, there's only so much you can do both. And you have to, you know, the opportunity cost is what you want out of it. If you want money or if you want sales, that means you have to write more and market just as much. You know, so you're putting your other times away. So you're not going to be reading as many books, or you're not going to be playing as many video games or watching shows or whatever, because, you know, if you have a family, that's going to be the most important thing you're going to spend your time on. And so it's just, again, it's all a calculus. And for me specifically, I'd rather write than market. You know, I like to I'll do my posts. You know, I help out, obviously, with like the cover reveals and doing all that stuff. I help out other indies as much as I possibly can. I love, like, I need to read to be able to keep myself sane. So I need to read books. Like that's my sane. Writing and reading is where I keep sane. So I need to do those things. And again, pumping up the indie community was what I do. But I know, conversely, I need to start doing more marketing. But type thing. So yeah, it's going to be fun. I'm going to grumble this whole next 3 weeks. So yeah, it'll be fun.
It'll be worth it. That's how you got to look.
I hope so.
It'll be worth it.
That's way more accurate.
Right. Like it's here's the thing about Kickstarter, or at least my experience with Kickstarter, and Greg Terrell JG Terrell is also going to be doing one. We've been bouncing so much ideas back and forth, so it's been kind of helpful having somebody I'm very friendly with going through this at the same time, because it's just a learning curve. But it's, as my first book was almost 2 years ago now. Been self-published 2 years. You just never know. You just never know what's going to hit. You don't know. So it's like you can catch lightning in a bottle, or you could flop. You just never know. And that's why I decided ultimately to do the Kickstarter is I had so much fun writing this book. I had a lot of fun with it. I hope people have a lot of fun with it, but I also want it to be a good-looking book physically. And I hope that people enjoy it. If the Kickstarter flops, so be it. It is what it is. But I at least wanted to put some effort into it and say, hey, I did it. And then, if it does flop, then maybe I change my trajectory and expectations of my writing career. But if it does well, then again, maybe I change how things go the other way. So it's all just the let's see, wait and see how it goes and hope for the best.
Mm-hmm. I just want to point this out here too. Oh, did we click the same thing? Yeah.
Yeah, at the same time.
Nava with a great comment. Because this is one of the biggest things that I've noticed in here. First off, I had no idea that your first book was only 2 years ago, because that's crazy to me. Yeah, I don't know why. I just expected it was longer than 2 years. It's almost like the same way that when I found out like Pierce Brown wrote his book, and it felt like that's only been out for like 3 years. For you, for some reason, I just expected it was like around COVID when your first book came out. I don't know why. I think it's because like even before I joined the crew, or really even like we became friends, you were all over the place, recommending things, like leaving reviews, doing cover reveals, which goes to Chris's point that the indie community in itself has such a deep well of people who are trying to do good for other people in the same space, where whether it's you recommending a book, Devin, like your carousel's going around, I'm adding shit all the time. It's not even like just the trad stuff where it's like, oh, well, obviously, like this is going to come across my path. It's things that like I've never heard of before, and I didn't know the process involved in any of this. And, seeing the way that like you said, you never know what's going to hit, where one time like you'll go on Goodreads and see like 6-7 reviews. The next time you go on it and it's like 1,300, and you're like, Jesus Christ, I read that a year and a half ago, and I was one of 5 people on here.
Yep.
But it's that same way, again, bringing it back to his comment, this community where you can go and, I've only been doing this show for like 8 months or so, but like people are reaching out to me and saying like, is it okay if I join you? Like, do you have time? Can I come on? And I'm like, I'm a no one, but like, it's also at the same time where it's like, I would love to have people out there, like, going forwards, like the whole point of, this stream and, the process is like, you can have someone like Christoph on there who like was the coolest dude ever, but Jay Christoph isn't worrying about me and you getting him fucking 3 views or like, what I mean? And then going forwards, it's also like people on Goodreads who have 5 reviews, like those people are going to be treated just as well as anyone else, because it's like the time and effort that goes into writing something and putting yourself out there and doing all that really deserves to be praised and lifted up off, you know, as much as possible. It's like it's this whole community in a nutshell, where it's like whether it's a cover reveal, it's a jump on a stream, leave a review and on like an arc or anything like that. It's very cool to see people who, you know, may not talk even in regular comments, but will throw a tag and be like, I just read this, check this out. And, you know, it's very cool to be a part of. I realize that was a nonsense rambling rant, but, you know, it's very cool to see.
Yeah, I mean, it's what I got into indie by accident, which I would probably argue is a lot of people's story with how they find indie. Is I had gotten into reading. I was not on socials. I was publishing my reviews on my site into the fucking void, and reading everything popular, because that's what you do when you start reading again. And then I joined the Two to Ramble Discord, and somebody posted about Mercy Tears of the Fallen in there. And I was like, that cover's fucking sick. I'm like, what is this book? And they're like, oh, it's this indie pub. And I'm like, what does that mean? I'm like, it's a book I can buy, right? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, okay, cool. And I read it and I was like, oh, this was sick. And the other one was Discovery by J.J. Minton, the talking story. And I was just like, this is better than half the shit I'm reading that I bought at Barnes & Noble. I'm like, what is going on? And then I started to look into it and I was like, oh, this is cool. And then I posted the reviews and like the instant reaction, like the instant interaction. And I was just like, this is so weird. I was like, I don't get it. But then as I got more into it, I think the stark thing that Christopher points out, which is so important, is it's not just like, yeah, I make content. Like that's what I do. So it's kind of in the realm where I'm going to shout out shit I love. But what I find incredible is that, like, to your point, Bill, about marketing, like you don't like marketing yourself. What I find is that most indie authors, I see them post about everybody else's shit so much more than they post about their own. And I think that's what makes the indie community so cool. And the other thing is that like anybody can publish a book. And I don't mean it in the fact of like the skill or the art or anything like that. I mean, any asshole can literally go on Amazon and click publish, and which is a problem. But that's a whole nother probably entire episode if we wanted to. But the point is that, you know, it's hard sometimes to wade through that. And I think the best part about the indie community is that they will let you know. They'll be like, no, this dude used ChatGPT, or they'll be like, you know, this person,
Oh yeah,
there's half a book here, you know, like don't bother, you know, it's very quick to give you real feedback in most of the time, which I find awesome. And it makes it very easy for me, who bases a lot of what I pick up on word of mouth at this point. And just seeing like how quickly people are willing to recommend indies. Like I made, you know, you mentioned the Carousels P, and I made the Seeking Fantasy, the indie fantasy in 2026. And I posted a bunch of books on there or whatever. But the comments, people, every author didn't put, almost every, some self-promoted, which I'm all about, go ahead, do it. Like that is the place to do it. But almost every author didn't promote their own book. They tagged other authors telling me those are the books I should go read. And I thought that was incredible. And that post has like 1,000 comments, 2,000 comments at this point. And like people message me and like, I got Rex out of the comments. Oh my God, this book was great. Da, 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 da. Like, and that is what's so cool about this community, is like, it's crazy how the discovery all works. And that is all because most of the time, it's not even like people that do content. It's other authors putting everybody else's stuff out like above themselves. Like, show your own shit. You're crazy if you don't show your own shit. Always show your own shit. But I think that piece of it is so amazing. Like that, it's almost equal, if not more. Like Bill, your content, for example. Like I don't think I've ever seen you outside of this book since I've been following you post about your own stuff.
yeah. I don't do it often, but you know, to the reason why, or not the reason, but one of the reasons why, is there are some indie authors that they use the same posts day in and day out. It's the same look, the same tagline, the same stuff. And if you see that, and okay, so when I read things or when I'm watching things, if I start noticing a pattern, like my brain does not turn it off. Like I will notice it. So like when I'm reading, if somebody uses I'm going to pick on Christoph, and Christoph's my favorite authors. He always says somebody paws their hair out of their eyes. Pause, like PAWS. I can't unsee it now. I see it every single time he uses it. And that's what makes me a good beta reader and an editor, to be honest, because I pick up on those repeated phrases that and I'm guilty of them too. I know I am. But I pick up on that stuff. So like when I start seeing the same post over and over and over again, I will skip it. My brain will skip it on when I'm scrolling. So like that's what makes it hard. And I think that's a lot of the reasons why it's good that that indie authors promote other indie books just as much as they promote their own stuff, because it's going to make me personally slow down. And when they do talk about their book, I will be more likely to pay attention to it, as opposed to if they're just constantly posting that same thing over and over again, I'm going to just skip their update, or I might even mute their page, on Twitter, like mute their feed, because I don't want to see it again. So I think you're right. You have to promote your own book. And I know I don't do a good job of that, but that I usually prefer promoting other people's books, because that's just what I like to do.
Yeah, I think you have a really great piece of advice in there, even if it might have been unintentional. But don't be boring when you're promoting your stuff. Like, I'm not saying you have to do the dumb shit I do on camera and like act like a moron, but you can. You can, obviously. But you can make a carousel. You can do something funny. Pete posted that corn reel and it was hysterical and ridiculous and whatever. But guess what? It's going to make you stop and go, oh, what is that? Oh, yeah. What is this book? You know what I mean? Like, why is this dude posting this corn concert and just there's book covers on people's faces? Like that alone is going to make you stop. And who knows, like somebody might pause on your book. So it's just worth it. Like, be creative with it. You don't have to go crazy. You don't have to spend hours making videos and stuff. Like, Pete, how long did that video take you to make?
12 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. Like 12 minutes of your day, you're going to spend more time worrying about what you're going to type in your caption than you are going to make the video. You know what I mean? Like it's even if you don't like self-promo, like even to Bill's point, I don't think I would see Bill post the same Kickstarter ad 5 times. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like I don't expect that. I've seen what you put out, so it's not like you're just out here posting the same thing over and over. And
I do want to post that Abel video. He gave me that video. I'm gonna post that one when Bob's won multiple times, because they knocked it out of the park on my cover reveal for that one.
Yeah, he did a video when they did SPFBO announcements for that, and he gave me like the kindest praise in the world that is so undeserved and ridiculous. So now I want to just put it on the tagline of everything, because I'm like, look how great I am, because none of it's true. But
yeah, no, it takes a real asshole to have praise that may not have been rightfully deserved. Just follow them around all the time.
Luckily, with this book and the Kickstarter, I have so much different artwork that I can utilize. Like I didn't even show. I'm going to show via bookmark, because I don't have the physical copy yet, because Ingram Spark sucks. That's another thing you don't know about when you get into indie, is like the actual printers suck. They take forever. I ordered a physical copy of this book on the 22nd of January, and it still hasn't been here. So that sucks. But
now it's never coming.
Mark of the naked cover character that I didn't even show with the reveal, but this is the front naked cover character, and this is the back, and I made into a bookmark. So, but the good thing is I got all this art that I spent this money on that I can showcase and use as different,
sick.
Print stuff. So this is a stained glass print that's actually in the book, black and white. But if we get a stretch goal, I'm going to do color. So yeah, I got other art that I can show and utilize for print.
I
It
anything
won't be the
stained
same Kickstarter ad that you see, which is kind of nice.
I love stained glass. Anything Ingram's Park is now never going to send you your book, but anyway, we're going to move right past that. No, yeah, I love that, and I think that like it's just such an easy way to get stuff out there, and it's sick, and it's a tax write-off on top of everything else. For those of you that don't know, so get your art done because you get to write it off. That is a business expense, ladies and gentlemen.
And this is some beautiful cross promo right here. When I get to Godblood, another group of authors like we're doing with Mercy, I'm going to get you into the live stream to force you to talk about your own book. So look at that. You come on my show, you go on his show.
I'm Chris and Kale and David Walters are doing the Mercy Buddy reading this month. And then we're going to get on with Chance as a group. So it'll be fun.
I'm sorry. No, I'm kidding. I love Chance. I literally just had lunch with him.
I'm hoping that my audiobook will be done soon. We're a few months behind on God's Blood audiobook. It is what it is. Hopefully it'll come out soon, but we'll see.
I will say, as a reader, I think that's a great piece of indie advice. If you can swing it, obviously, I don't know what the cost or the logistics or any of the other bullshit that goes behind the scenes. So Bill can probably speak to that. But
depends on what.
Oh my god, if you can do an audiobook and not somebody in a garage with a microphone that sounds like they're 10 feet away from it, because that's worse. But if you can get an audiobook like even decently produced, it doesn't have to be like God tier. It is a game changer, at least for me personally. Like, this is my selfish plea to everybody. If you can do an audiobook, do it, because it increases the amount that I can read by tenfold.
Yeah, luckily, so the lady I found, so there's multiple avenues you can with ACX, which is the Amazon version. They have 3 options. You can pay outright per finished hour, as they call it, or you can do a royalty share with per finished hour, and it's usually a less per finished hour cost, and then they get a % of the royalties. And then there's pure royalty share, which is Amazon gets 60%, and then the book gets 20 or 40%, so the author gets 20, and then the narrator gets 20% of the royalties. And even then, the royalties are all nebulous because Amazon is likes to screw us with that. But anyway, the thing with royalty share is, if you have a book so God's Blood is estimated going to be around 19 hours of the length. And royalty share, you're not going to get very many, I don't want to say good, but you're not going to get like the more top tier, like you're more likely to have good equipment and all that stuff and can do stuff like that with an audiobook, because they're not going to want to record a 19-hour book if it's not guaranteed going to get them royalties. They're not going to want to take that time and share the royalties if they're going to get or spend that amount of time on it. The lady I got, she's awesome. We're doing royalty share plus. I'm not going to say how much it costs or anything, but she's doing like the different voices for different characters and like different accents and stuff. So that's why it's taking her a longer time to do, because one, it's also the longest book she's ever done. She's done a lot of smaller books, fantasy books and stuff, and she's having a lot of fun with it, but it's also taking her a lot longer because there's so many bloody characters in that goddamn book. But yeah, what I'm hoping, it would be nice if I get to meet some stretch goals with it, but I have the audiobook for Colossus as a stretch goal. If I can get to there, I would love to be able to do an audiobook and actually do find an actual narrator, either one, or if it'd be awesome to do a dual narrator because it's a male-female character in the main POVs, it would be awesome to do 2, but we'll see.
Stretch goal sounds good. That's a good one to have, especially like he said, Devin said, a lot of people love the audio stuff, so that's a very good goal to have. And
We'll see. I mean, again, it's all just a crapshoot. Who knows? I mean, I'm hope like they say as a first time Kickstarter, you put the funding goal low, so you're guaranteed to fund. Because you don't want to do all this effort and put out like a funding goal of like $10,000 and make $3,000 because then you're not going to fund. Nobody's going to get anything. You're not going to get any money because you didn't fund. So they say put it low. But then you just got to figure out what you're pricing things at, which could be pain in the ass. Like hope people want to buy this stuff, and then then the stretch goals, you got to figure out what the cost would be on top of it. If you add all these stretch goals. So if you're doing sprayed edges or foiling, those are extra costs into the book with the printer, but you have to factor that into your overall revenue when you price this stuff out. So that's been a lot of fun. But yeah, it's just one of those things, and you just hope it works out. And if it does, you're ecstatic. If you're not, then you're probably crying in the corner and being like, why the hell did I waste my time?
Well, I hope that obviously this works out. It's funny that we were talking about the longest narration that person has done for you, because we have officially gotten the longest stream that we have ever done.
Oh, really?
Yeah, which is very cool.
Sorry.
Well, I mean, we spent about 20 minutes talking about 80s movies and TV shows.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we could have go for 4 hours if we started at 6. But before signing off, I want to say one more time that the Kickstarter is officially going live next Monday, February 9th. Again, Death Show Colossus. I can't recommend it enough. I did recommend it. I actually recommended it twice. I took one review down, had to put another one up, but I digress.
Pete came out firing.
I came out firing. I don't like when people talk for other people, especially when it's like gendered, and it's just like people wouldn't like this. And I was like, you're a fucking moron. And then I was like, I shouldn't probably talk to consumers that way when it's not my book. So I toned it down.
Pete toned his review down after we told him that he didn't need to be an East Coast mafioso.
I'm watching too much Sopranos. We talked about this.
That'll be on the Rum Runners Patreon. Anyway.
Yeah, exactly. That'll be the after.
It's actually a perfect place for that review.
where we break out the expletives on people is the thing. But yes, on how do we find it? The great question that came in the chat. So this is going to go live February 9th. Please follow Bill on all the socials. Bill, what are your socials?
Twitter, it's William J. Adams 3. I did that when I was, 19 or something like that. So it's like this is not a good future. Wasn't thinking future wise because that's my actual name, not my pen name. But sorry, I'm getting the URL and I'll put it in the chat here.
Yeah, I pasted it before and I think YouTube smoked me. There it is.
So this is the link to it. But yeah, if you just search Death Show Colossus on Kickstarter, the pre-launch page is live. You can follow it now and it'll give you the emails when it goes live. But yeah, it is definitely on starting on Monday. And we'll see. It's going to go all of February. So yeah, like Pete says, if you follow me on socials, you'll see it. I'm sure Pete will probably repost a thing here too before the baby comes. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Like I said, this book was a lot of fun. It's meant to be fun. It's an action-packed, lots of death, lots of blood, but also lots of heart, some twists and turns. And it, like I said, it's a genre blender. I will say before we go, this is one of the best things I love about the indie community is the books can be whatever the hell you want them to be, and there's less pressure to make them conform to what you see in trad. And this book has so many weird ideas and concepts, and it just shouldn't work, but they did come together, I think, and the people who have read it so far think. So hope it goes well. And like the book comes out in May, but the Kickstarter starts, and I'm going to be sending stuff as soon as I can order it. I'm going to order the books and then get them out as soon as I possibly can. Because I will say that the ebook will come if you back any tier. You'll get an ebook with it, and I will be sending those out probably in March because the book is ready. The book's ready to go. It's all edited. Everything's done. I'll be sending those out, the ebooks out right away, so more people can read it. But this was awesome, you guys. I'm glad, Pete, we can get on and chit chat before you leave us. Devin, glad you can join and are going to be joining Realm Runners because Pete needs some help sometimes.
I do. It's exhausting. I need an adult.
I think you're barking up the wrong tree with that.
I need a young person.
A co-toddler.
So yes, everyone go. The Kickstarter is in there. Bill mentioned his socials. You can find Devin at BroMantasy, who is crushing it. His website has great reviews as well. Very well thought out. They're thorough. They're long. It's a fantastic rating system. Yeah,
it is.
It's very enjoyable. I've loved your stuff way before we started talking, so I'm very happy that we met in person and then continued. But yeah, this was great, guys. I very much appreciate it, and I couldn't have asked for a better episode to have before hiatus.
And thanks to everyone that joined in the chat. This was great. And we'll see Pete when he comes back. Hopefully.
Yeah, right. That's shades of me.
Go on forever. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, no, seriously, thank you. I appreciate you guys having me on. Bill, I'm looking forward to reading the book because I know it's going to be fun.
If you beg me not too hard, I could probably send you a copy pretty soon. So
I was just going to say I was just going to drive to Long Island and hold Pete up, but I guess that works too.
Either way, thank you everyone in the chat. February 9th, be sure to keep an eye out for it. And we will see everyone in a month and a half.
All right. See you guys. Thank you.
Bye, y'all.